The is the Instagram one on, or is it not running?
We're live.
Is it?
I see it on the screen. I'm hitting it on my IG. Well, we live in Riverside, so wherever this is going, it's going.
I don't think I get one view on Riverside. Riverside probably has a bunch of different things. Anyways, what's going on, people? It's Friday. Community Beacon. It's your boy, Palm Beach Mike. Appreciate you all for continuing to check in when you check in. Of course, on the other side of the screen, we got my brother from another mother, the Joel, let me guess, Hosea.
That's it.
Simmons.
You remember. That was an educated guess, y'all. Don't let him fool you there. He's heard the name before.
Absolutely. You know, we work together which you find in your home. And so probably amongst the millions of papers that you signed, you know, I'm sure I came across that name a bunch of different times. And what strikes me is that, man, my memory is so interesting sometimes. And thank God I did a lot of NLP where I got a chance to what I call file these things. I was able to file the files because they used to be so sporadic. I'm I know that person, but I might call them the name of the person who was sitting next to them, if that makes sense. So now I got it to a place where it's just you know, it's really filed away, and I'm just not grasping at everything. But we'll talk about my genius on another episode. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm always ready to talk about your genius. For real. Yeah. You might have to click a button though for my IG. I don't know what's wrong with it.
What I'm seeing, it says, let me see, 98% uploading. Oh, yeah. Man.
Trying to get that little audience out there. But if we don't, then it's all right. We can keep it moving, you know. It's all good.
Yeah,
I know when I click go live on my side, it's just yeah.
No, it's not working. Right. Yeah.
And so maybe I need to copy the stream key again. Maybe I gave you the wrong one. Let me try that. That's the stream key. Is that the same one I gave you last time?
You see.
Looks like it to me.
Yeah.
And then this
it is the same one.
Yeah, so that's all right. We can move. Keep going.
Yeah, I wish I knew what to do. Need a producer in the back. All right, let's go to it. Let's get to it. Prior to the show, jumping on, I'm hoping you all checked out the last couple of shows that we did. I think they were super insightful. Lots came out of it. I think last time we kind of ended speaking about standards, which is I think that was the ending part of it. But that episode was so chocked full of gems as we got through it, and as we started prior to talking on this, opening up this show, the brother was talking about what is successful. We were talking about success. So what does success mean to you? And we get a chance to define it. We kind of started talking about what, you know, even the comparison of things. So let's get into it, brother. Let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, man. I love this conversation. I really do, because so for me, the background in this is as I was stepping out into this new modality that I'm in, it's there was always a standard, right? This is bridging last episode to this episode, right? And there's these hidden metrics that who knows who uses them. I don't know who uses them. Maybe everybody does, maybe nobody does, right? But my belief is that there's this hidden metric, and a lot of it has to deal with what we are taking in, right? So whether I'm reading a book, listening to a book, watching a podcast, attending a service, a ceremony, speaking with somebody that is influential. And when I say influential, I don't mean an influencer, right? I just mean someone that's influential to me. Could be my mother, could be my father, it could be my next door neighbor, it could be the president of the United States. Whoever it is, I've deemed them to be influential inside of my life. And so when I started to do that, I started to see that, okay, this is what I believe success in this route looks like. And so my first my first opportunity of seeing, hey, listen, I got this bright idea. I'm going to be this whatever, which I had no idea what it was, no clue. I went down a route. I'm going to be a podcaster. I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be all these different things, right? And so as I'm doing that, I started to look at, okay, this is what my examples are. This is what they're doing. And you all have heard me, the world has heard me speak about this, what are these three things that you need to do? And so I laugh about those things. And sometimes I do still find that there are people that can literally give you three things that can move the needle. And there are those that are just copying three things and they have no clue what those three things will ever do for a person, yet they give it as if they're an authority, and they are to somebody. Um, I ain't trying to knock your hustle. But it just is what it is, and that's where
Well,
I am
let's
in my
knock a
life.
hustle. Let's dive into that part because I think it sounds to me as if the what you're hearing now, like initially, it may sound good, it may seem like this is a correct and direct way of doing things, but what you're starting to see is something different. And it's not necessarily to knock someone's hustle. It's just in your experience, your thoughts surrounding that. Because this isn't. I doubt this is directed at. I know the brother Hart. It's not directed at someone personally, but something that you've probably experienced from, going in, while you're on your journey.
You're absolutely right. So if you weren't as astute and genius as you are, you might have said, name somebody. And I would have just been like, I can't, right? Because I don't have anybody right now that I can just like, this is the guy I'm talking about. There's no true reference to an individual. There's just a collection
Mm,
of memories and thoughts and people that, so I don't have anyone to
yeah.
call out, right? I'm sure if I were to go down the pathway and pull up some social media or pull up something, then I would be able to listen to a few of them and I would be able to stop you real quick and say, hey, that's one of them right there. Right? There's even LinkedIn Shorts, so I can find them there too. It's not hard to get to them, right? Uh, but all in all, it doesn't matter who those individuals are. It's just like it's the place in the process that I'm at where what I realize is that people that are really giving you something that is genuine, something that is good, the tone comes across a little bit differently, the authority comes across a little bit differently, and it's generally usable immediately, and you can find some type of exchange. But nonetheless, it's three things, right? So I wouldn't build my house on three things, right? I wouldn't build my house on somebody else's three things. I definitely would start to build my house on a strong foundation, and that takes a lot of different components, ingredients to build out a strong foundation. And before you even get those components and ingredients, like the concrete that you want to lay, you have to do some digging. It's a better idea to go find some bedrock, right? And I know that they build movable foundations or non-movable foundations on movable land, and I get that, I understand that, but my mindset is like biblical, and so I'm just going to stick right there, dig down to the rock, and then build right there. Build your house on a solid foundation. And I believe that that's a solid way of growth. And so like those three things may be compiled with 40 other three things, right? And you end up with 123 things, right? And so now you actually create what is necessary for you. And so in my journey, I found that success is finding out what those 120, um, those 43 things are, those 120 things are, and then just like really curating it to be me. And so now it's not Mike's, it's not his, it's not hers, it's mine. And I got a saying, if it fits, it ships. So I've taken that recipe. I've taken one of this guy, this random guy's three things, and I've taken one thing, and I took her two things, and I took his seven things, and I researched it and I figured out, okay, this is what works for
Mm.
me. This is how I can produce my lifestyle, my living, and I can extract my joy from doing these things. And that now has become my success, and my metric is different from everybody else's, because where the other person is teaching me three things to close a call, and this person is teaching me three things to generate a lead, and this person is teaching me three things to be happy, and this person is teaching me three things to build a business. I've just taken one of everything, and I've said these are now my four things, or five, however many I just named, things that I'm going to use, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be joyful with these things.
Yeah.
And the production of these things is going to be my proof, right? Me doing it is my
Mm.
success. Me doing it is now my success. And the results are now the proof of my success, right? Because I did it. And so instead of looking for these abstract results that somebody else has fed me, I'm now looking for me doing it. It changes the game completely. Me doing it is my success, right? And this is for me, it's not for somebody else. Now, if you want to take it, go for it, take it, you can snatch it. But me doing it is my success. And because of that, by virtue of me doing it becoming my success, my results look exactly like what I'm looking for. And they begin to become compound. And what is so cool about that is now when I'm looking at my results, I make my own tweaks because I say, wow, I really like that result. I wonder if I could get this type of result. What should I do a little bit differently? And then I make these tweaks, these small tweaks. Sometimes I go back to a book. Sometimes I go back to Mike. Sometimes I go back to an expert, right? And I'm like, yo, this is the thing, da 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 da. Or I expose it here in Community Beacon, and after I leave here, I'm like, yo, these are my notes. I'm going to do that a little bit differently, and that's how I end up with this next stage or phase. But every single thing has become successful. So I'm sitting here like my boy is talking about every single day since January. I'm sitting here in my joy. Even if things don't work out well, it's working out well. Why? Because this is my metric. I mean, I set it up. I can't fail. I am not a failure. I am nothing but a success, and I'm a success magnet. And everybody that comes around me gets into success. They find their success. Why? Because they're around me. That's all I do. All I do is produce success. That's it. I don't produce anything else. So if you're with me, you're going to be successful. And if you don't know what success looks like, stay around me long enough. You'll see it.
I love it. Heavy on the what works for me. Heavy on the what works for me. I heard you say that, and that resonates. Heavy on the what works for me. Man, what an interesting conversation, and the mindset of what you just put into effect is super. I think that's a powerful way for a lot of people to be, and I say that not from a motivational or even inspirational thought process, but more so of a lot of people don't come into it with that thought process. Like a lot of people's, typically what I see is there's a lot of hesitation, there's fear, and things can get scary, I imagine. Especially when you're the output that you're doing is something that you're not used to. So things that you're not used to or you're not comfortable with, it can incite certain things. So to be around someone that you can kind of draw on that has that successful that outlook on life and what it looks like and what it could be is super powerful, right? And the confidence of that is super powerful. And relatable, and contagious, right? I think last week and the week before, I often talk about environment. So be all intentional about the way that you cultivate that environment. You spoke about, I think when we look at people and their success, and I'll get technical with it in a little bit, but right now I kind of want to go off of what the brother is talking about. The lifestyle, like what if you start, and I was going back and forth with the LLM this morning as I was walking, was about working out and how we can easily turn things into habits, and our habits are based on a certain goal. And if you achieve that goal, which I've been blessed to achieve a lot of goals that I've set myself out for, you can easily fall back into a certain kind of standard, because a lot of things are based on your standards of living. So I can always use the discipline and the willpower to get to a goal, but then it's like, what happens when you reach it, right? So if you're not looking, so now that goal becomes another goal. And what I've started to see happen with that is that there's like, you're never quite, and I'm not saying that you should be, but there's a place where you're not okay with it, with things. Sometimes we don't even take, and I know I'm guilty of this, not even taking the time out to recognize the goal. Sometimes I surpass the goal and don't know about it until I end up reading something that I wrote, 5-10 years ago. I'm like, oh, wait, I did that? Right. And back then, Mike couldn't even, this was the goal of it. And now this is the standard of it. And I didn't even take a time to celebrate. I didn't take a time to break. I didn't take a time to be grateful for the people around me that helped me to achieve that goal. So when people set out to do things, as far as success is concerned, I think everybody has their own goal or metric in that kind of way. And if you are to follow somebody doing that, even if you reach it, it may not necessarily be enough. It may take longer than what you think it was. There's so many different nuances that come with it. And so what it was saying was, this conversation I was having with Claude earlier, was that you got to really look at like what your lifestyle is like, because you can essentially achieve a goal and be successful in business and be failing at being with your family and spending time with your family, or getting away from some of the things that actually bring joy in your life. How many of us have met miserable business people? I'm gonna raise my hand. What real estate is probably it's probably one of the most diabolical businesses, because essentially it could be 7 days a week, working 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Who did it? Right? Like waking up early in the morning, 3 o'clock or whatever it is, and 9 o'clock you finally conked out and your mind is probably still running about the day, and then it's just back to doing it again. You can do that, or you can essentially do that in perpetuity. Well, I mean, whatever you bring to life can deal with it. So to be able to kind of figure out like what kind of lifestyle am I looking like when you start to look at the vision. And it's not to say that these things don't change, because life happens, but it's like, what kind of lifestyle do I want? What's the type of person I want to be? And so when we go back to the thought about success, it's about not just being successful to me in one domain, but everything that's around that's going to make it joyful, make it integrated for me. As we spoke about it, another thing that came to mind was Earl Nightingale. I remember listening to that The Secret. Was it The Secret?
The Secret.
Yeah, I used to wake up for 30 days, listen to it for 30 days. That was one of the challenges that was given to me once. And so he mentioned it, and it was like, the success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Mm-hmm. The progressive realization of it, meaning that, like you spoke about, brother, like the steps that are involved. Like, am I progressing in a certain kind of way that's bringing me joy? Like, am I moving towards something, right? Like, this is the goal, but I once the goal is there, it's just kind of just to say, okay, I need, this is direction. The goal sets a direction, but the the steps to that direction is what you get is kind of what is going to bring about success to me. So it's the progressive realization I'm at least moving in the direction of the goal that I set out. I think that's super important, right? And then I don't want to stay in an esoteric way, because you mentioned something. I think it's important to think that, because I don't want us to be lazy business owners, researchers, or whatever it is that there are some best practices and that we can all follow within business. Once another person said, success leaves clues. So once we start to figure out, like, what are some of the best practices, do some research on that. Start to, in my business, within my industry or domain, or if it's like working out, like I don't think a person should go out and, if you're going to the gym, and just, look around and attempt to do these exercises. You're going to realize, you're going to have realize these goals a lot more efficiently and proficiently if someone can show you, or if you've done it before, so that you can start to look at certain muscles. Like, what is the mind to muscle connection? Like, how can I become efficient at of a thing, right? It's great to kind of have something and be busy, or if it's in business, having a business or whatever. It starts to become torture if you're not being effective at that business. It starts to be torture when you're looking, when you're running a business and you see that net profit, or there is no net profit, right? I've seen people who grossed millions and were ready to file bankruptcy, right? Like there's a certain way of figuring out, like, what are my best practices? Do the research on that. This is, to me, like, a lot of this is the actual work of it. Can you be joyful in some of these tedious moments? Post your successes, or what you believe your successes are, on Instagram or social media, if you want validation. And it's always good to have people look at you and say, hey, Mike is doing well, or whatever it is. Like, I appreciate that. But that day in, day out of those things, of the preparation of it, the standards of it. I saw a post with Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates is one of the most winningest bodybuilders of all time. And I'll quote him a lot, because he makes things very, very simple. When he breaks down diet and how to lift, et cetera, like he makes it super simple. I think simple is often the best way. I think when we start to get overcomplicated with things, I don't think we quite grasp a thing. He said that when he was preparing for the show, right, for him to be Mr. Olympia, which is one of the biggest accolades most bodybuilders can have, as he was preparing, 23 hours out of the day was actually preparing for that 1 hour of working out. And then that 1 hour of working out ended up being, what took him to the Olympia. That's the actual work of it, the hard work, the lifting of the weights. What we tend to see when we're looking on, when we see those old videos, right? We see him and Arnold has his old videos. Well, we don't see the 23 hours, the other 23 hours out of the day. And he's like, I'm just preparing. I'm making a standard. I'm going through the exercises before I even get to the gym. So it's like the work is in those 23 hours. That hour is almost just like, it's the implementation of the work. Can you think about that for a second? Like, I want us to really, like, focus on that. And brother, I think you and I had a conversation after the show last, and you were speaking on an experience that you had, and you were talking about the studying that you were doing. Like 99% of us aren't white. Maybe your family and people that were in your very, very close circle noticed it and saw you actually having that. And I'm sure some of them thought you were like, I can't believe he's in this book again, or whatever the studying that he's doing. But these are the times that, this is the 23 hours out of the day, and count rest. Hopefully we get rest. Some of us aren't, right? But counting your rest and that, like, this is the preparation before the other part is definitely a powerful part, the presentation or whatever it is, like, that's a powerful part. But there's like there's times when when you're just in this mode of thinking, and if you all following this, and if this has happened to you, definitely put something in there, because I'm hoping I'm not the only one. Like, there's times when it's just like I'm just in this mode, and it's super, for me, like, it's super joyful. I was walking outside this morning, and I was in my mode, what some people call flow. I'm just in this flow. No one is around. No one is noticing. I didn't take out the, every now and then I might share, but I didn't take out the phone to kind of just film it. Things that come out of that mode, I'm not even having conversations about. I tend to wait to Community Beacon to kind of even speak on these things, because I don't want, sometimes I almost don't want the energy to leave my body. Sometimes after I talk on it, the energy leaves my body and it's almost like I'm spent. But this is like kind of like the gas in the car. It's this time away from the camera. It's this time away from the stage. It's this time that I'm not in an appointment or having a conversation on the phone. It's this time that you actually spend the most time doing. This is when your skills are refined. That, if you can find joy in that, everything else is just icing on the cake. Everything else is just like him being on the Olympia stage. That's the icing on the cake from all of this work that he's already done. Hopefully joyfully for most of us. Sometimes I think this is where we get a chance to figure out balance, where we're like, okay, let's figure out this balance. And I think that even the balance and the integration of it is a lifelong pursuit. Because I think when we start off, especially, I would imagine, and brother, I don't want to speak for you, but like 20 to 35, as a younger person and as we're maturing, we think we can do it forever. Like, we can just, I remember at one point at that age, I only need 3 hours of sleep. I'm fine. I only need 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I'm good. I can function off of that. I can do this. I can do that. And over time, it's like, okay, you're sacrificing sleep. You're sacrificing time with some of the loved ones, which oftentimes is why we're doing this, right? We're sacrificing that. And then we turn around and we look up, and other things are out of balance. So I think as I get older anyways, it's like, okay, now I get a chance to put balance to this thing. I get to notice these different moments. Even now, I get to experience it more. There was times when I didn't even get a chance to really sit and be present within the moment of this studying or this research or reading or being or meditation or being prayerful or whatever it is. Like, there were times when I just wasn't. It was the energy was there, but now when you fully get present in and allow that, man, it's an awesome feeling.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. And I will say, back in my 20s, man, gosh, boy, I would run around some of these 20-year-olds, man. I would run laps around these boys, man. I remember those days. 3 hours, bro. We used to go with 0 hours. 0 hours, man. We just go from one thing to the next thing, working two, three jobs, you know, um, showing up and just doing whatever it was. So I do remember those days, and I'll be real with you. And I don't know why I say that. I guess that's just a cliche because I'm always real with you anyway. But I still have days like that now. My recovery time is not the same. It's not the same, you know, because I will go. I'll go because I'm in the middle of building something, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm learning, right? Because I've expanded so much and my platform has expanded. I still do what I do, but I have an expanded platform. So it's different and there's some nuances that I have to learn while I'm doing this. But not to dive too deep into, what's happening now in this world as far as it goes for workload and stuff like that, but to stick with the topic about just the success and what it looks like, and to respond a little bit more to what you're saying, because I'm sitting here taking notes, and it's been a while since I listened to The Secret, and I'm going to start that. I'm going to start that today. I'll start it today. go back and just listen to that. I'm throw the audio book on it because I did listen to another hit. Can't remember exactly what that book was. When it comes to me, I'll bring them to you. I think I did that for like 45 days. Me and my daughter did
That was
it.
the Bob
My
Proctor book,
eldest daughter,
wasn't it? The
Bob Proctor
Yeah.
book, and he actually mentioned the secret, I think, inside of that book. But yo, the types of changes that her and I were experiencing because we were each other's accountability partner, and we had to send each other a message no matter what we did. So we were doing that, and that was pretty amazing, the type of change. I'll throw this out there that if anybody is really looking for like that level up, that's one thing that you can do when you hear that book or when you're reading that book, and that book is like answering those types of questions that you're toying with inside of your brain, inside of your mind, and you feel like you're being educated, you feel like you're being expanded, you feel like your capacity is growing, then dive back into that book again and again. I know that uh, uh, Bob Proctor, I think it was, I know he mentioned that he read the same book for like a year, Think and Grow Rich. And that was the only book that he read for a long time. And then he moved on to another book. And the way that he would do it was he would leave the book, like I got this book sitting right here. Um, sitting right here. And it's just like, he would read the exact same book over and over again. And he would go page by page. Like he slowed it down to the point where he would only read one page, just one page, until he understood that one page. And after he understood that one page, he would change it to the next page. And I just thought that's incredible because a lot of times we as people we consume to consume, right? My grandmother, she'll always tell us she said you eat for nourishment, right? And so she had this it's this thing, man, old school, but she was like, you eat for nourishment, not for taste. So it was never about putting sugar in it so it would taste good. It was never about, having the sweet stuff because it tastes good. It was like you eat for nourishment. So if it's going to make your body healthy, if it's going to make your brain healthy, if it's going to provide you with what you need so that you can do the work that you need to do, then you eat that. That's what you eat. And it's for nourishment. And so like taking one of those lessons, that's my grandmother on my father's side. Um, God bless her, Lavinia Jenkins. Um, and she's like 88 years old, still walking up and down stairs, driving back and forth between Florida and Georgia on her solo, and she's just like crazy. And when you look at her, she looks like she's like 50, right? She looks like she could be my older sister. So it's just crazy. Um, Environment, right? So just a lesson like that I learned from her. That's because she's in my environment, and that's one of the things that you talked about, Mike. I think that the beauty of um, of this world today is that we can truly cultivate the type of environment that we can grow in. That's super huge, and maybe people are not taking full advantage of it. I think that more people are taking more advantage of this now, but keep that in mind, right? You know, there's success inside of every single room. Sometimes people they don't see the success, and if you're in that room where there's multiple people that don't see the success that they have inside the room, then there's a chance that you may cultivate a mind of not being able to see what you have in front of you, right? And there's an old cliche that says, cut off your nose to spite your face. And it's like, yo, that's just crazy. Like that's crazy. I mean, it just goes to show that cliche, I believe, we can look it up, Snoops it or whatever, but I believe that what that means is that we can't see the beauty in front of us. So we cut our nose off because we can't see the beauty that we already possess. So it's like sometimes people can't see the success that they already have, so they'll cut their success off or they'll downgrade it or they'll speak bad about it because they can't see what they have already achieved and they can't visualize that there is not that I want to go down the route of comparison, but that there is somebody else that would love to be in your shoes, even dealing with the same scenario that you disdain, they would be glad to take that those troubles on. They would be glad to have those challenges, you know. And so without going down comparison road, it's like just think about that for a moment. My father, he would preach, and when he would preach, he would this is and I love the way my father preaches. I love it. He still preaches like that to this day. I love the way he preaches because he preaches like I imagine Noah preached, right? I wasn't there when Noah was around, but I imagine that Noah told people it was going to rain every single day, for years, like it's going to rain. Now, that might not have been a formal sermon. It could have been an informal sermon. It could have been like, walking into the pub and they're like, no, what you doing building that boat out there, man? What is the boat? I don't even know what a boat is. It's never raining, And then he's just like, it's going to rain, I believe it's going to rain, what damn no, you got to stop listening to those things inside your head, and then he takes his wife over there to the hair salon. I don't know if there's a hair salon in them days, but he does. And they're like, what you out there doing building that thing? Like, it's going to rain. So that's what I imagine. Now y'all can understand what my imagination is thinking. And like that's how my father would preach. He would say some of the exact same things every single week or month or whatever. And it got to the point where I remember all of them. And I live by a lot of that stuff because that stuff has changed my life. It's benefited me. It's become part of my founding thoughts. And I accept that as part of my narrative, right? And that's why I mention it to you all, whether you know I'm mentioning where I got it from him or not. I do. But I just love it that he would always say things like that. And getting back into like this whole cultivation, those things that my father would say. I'm going to back up out of that because I think I went down that a little bit long. Um, Mike, you said habits, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you said habits turn into goals. Is that how you said that?
I think I went down that path of we base our habits on goals. Like sometimes we attempt to rearrange our habits or create habits in order to get to our goals. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely heard that a little bit differently. So, um, because that was, I wrote it down as habits turn into goals. And I just I wanted to remember that statement while you were speaking. I don't like always writing while you're talking because I missed something else. But I just think that that's like super important. Um, because I think that, in order to reach a goal, you do create habits. You have to do some things that repetitiously that becomes a way of your life, right? In order to reach these various goals, whatever those goals are. The consistency in the thing is much more important than the sporadic movement of the thing. So I'm a very passionate individual and I can move a mountain in an instant, right? In an instant, I can do it. Uh, the minute that I become passionate about something, I will kick everybody out of the way. I'll get out of my way and I will lift that burden, almost by myself, or I will inspire the entire room to lift it with me or lift it on their own. I can do that. There are some things that you simply need to be inspired to do daily, right? If we were to go to sales, you need to be inspired to generate leads daily. If we were to go into speaking, you need to be inspired to study daily, right? I mean, what are you going to talk about if you're not putting anything in your mind? What are you going to say outside of your mouth, right? If you're going to be a bodybuilder, you need to be inspired to study also, right? You mentioned it 23 to 1, right? So you need to be that type of person that is learning how the body moves because you can go and lift weights and get no results. So I just feel like there's so many things that I've learned along this journey that it had nothing to do with inspiration. It had nothing to do with passion. Passion is the fuel. But at the end of the day, you had to get up and you had to, like you mentioned earlier, you have to sometimes be willfully obedient, just like discipline. And when you do hit that level of life, when you don't necessarily have to call it discipline, it's just, hey, this is me, it's what I do, you know then that's a good place to be in. Like Mike said just a minute ago, like you're in your quote unquote flow. So it just is what it is. But if you're not in your flow and you're knocking your head up against your wall and you find yourself not doing the things that you need to do, maybe you need to look at that because success is there for every single one of us. Um, and I'll say this, and I'm gonna put it back into your hands, Mike, because I love you said so many things, like celebrating goals, recognize your goals, then celebrate them, before, you also mentioned studied before and also study while you're going through it. I think that's really, really important. And you also mentioned refining skills. Um, like God is, I believe God is the ultimate proof of success by my belief standard. Like he said, let there be light. That's it. There's no doubt. There's no disbelief. It's just that is. And my thought process is that if I, which I believe I am, but if I, and you guys insert whatever belief you have, whatever it is, insert, insert yourself into if I am a child of what I believe in, and he says, let there be light, and there is, and I'm created in his image, then what on earth am I creating? Because if I can't see it, if it's not happening, maybe I need to check what child I am. Because I should have the same creative powers as my father. So I've been using that as a
Mm.
major metric myself, right? Because a lot of times I have had these instances where I say I believe in something, but my actions do
Mm.
not align.
That's big.
So what I
Mm.
had to do is I had to reconstruct my own thought process, that how am I saying that people all over, I'm a child of God. All right, great. That's great. So for me, it's like internalize that. I'm a child of God. What does that mean? It means that if I desire to create something, then what I am creating must happen. It must manifest. That's the reason why I'm in the building that I'm in. And there's even been times in recent months where I was like, oh my gosh. And there's still some times where I'm like, oh my gosh, but I have to recorrect. Like Bob Proctor said when he was talking about a book of like this, he said, rocket ships are always correcting all the way to the moon. It's like autocorrect. You go an nth of an inch off, and that rocket could end up on Mars. So as it's flying, the autocorrect is recorrect. And so for me, what I began to learn is that I need to stop trying to manhandle myself, and I need to just allow myself to see exactly what is happening and then allow myself to autocorrect every single time. Autocorrect. So I see it like this is my vision. Number one, I am recognizing that I am successful. Just like Mike said, I recognize that in the pathway of my goal, I made it here right now. I'm here. I'm in this box that you all see with Michael Seville, right? A great business mogul. I'm here with him. There's many people in the world, but I'm the one here with him. So I'm successful. I'm sitting here with this man right now. He's successful, so am I. And I'm successful enough to be in here with him and have this type of conversation. Boom! See what I'm saying? Like I'm there. I'm right there. I'm there. And so what happens next may be that I go, oh, I need to autocorrect and just pull myself right back. It's that simple. It is so daggone simple that a fool doesn't need the error from this thing. Because the minute I find myself pulled to the left or pulled to the right, it's a belief thing. And I just need to autocorrect. Nope, I am here. No, 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 no. You're not worthy to be here with Mike. Nope, I am worthy to be here with Mike. I am here. And boom, I just keep moving. Autocorrect, autocorrect, autocorrect. And if you could do that in every part of your life, in every part, I believe that you are already successful. It's happening right now. Embrace it, be glad for it, celebrate it, and move on.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. And the autocorrecting thing, it's interesting because I said this a lot, and then of course I was looking at a video today. I haven't finished it, or I haven't even started it. Joe Hudson wrote, "Doubt is a sin of the heart," right? Like the doubt that happens, that comes up. But as a human, I don't want to say but, as a human, it's not a deficiency. It's more a part of our feature, right? As you start to grow up. For whatever reason, this is just, it is what it is, where there's times when we tend to doubt ourselves, but then that belief system that you spoke about, that being you, in your belief system, being the son of your maker, and for anybody else, just if you believe that you're a part of whatever it is that you believe in, just being a part of it. If you're a part of it, then you have it within you. And so that belief system opens up this expansiveness. Like there's nothing that you can't do. But having that belief and understanding for me is that it's not a deficiency to have this doubt. It's not a deficiency. It's a feature of us being human. It's a feature of you being human. It's a part of that mind, that thought in your mind. Now, what do you do with it? Some of us, it'll easily be simple like that, that it becomes that, oh, I'm just autocorrect. I'm not even paying attention to it. It came up again. Okay, autocorrect. And you start moving in the direction of what you deem success to be. But it's a feature. It happens to us all. What do we do with it? How long do we do with it? You said something too, and I think this is super powerful, especially leaders. And then, of course, I'm always going to say, be a leader of yourself first. Be a leader of yourself. If you don't have people following behind you, it doesn't even matter. You're leading yourself. You're leading yourself in a certain kind of way. But the ability to relate to this success in the way that Joe talks about it is super important within success and being a leader. As you were talking, I wrote down a couple of things about what success kind of requires, however you think of success to be, right? I'm not you waking up in the morning and going to work, that's successful. You coming up with a new idea of how to do something that's successful. You being able to spend time with your child, your spouse, whatever, like that's successful. Like there's so many things that a lot of you have, so many challenges that have come up that a lot of you have, I would say, triumphed over. You were successful over. So celebrate that, number one. But some of the things that allow these things are, you mentioned, brother, was a consistency thing. I would like for us to look at consistency as more of like a standard of a thing. Like, what is your standard? I promise you, if you raise your standards, your level of success is going to be raised. Like, what's your standard? One of the things that is interesting to me is I'm going to bring up the gym a lot just because it became a standard for me a long time ago, to where now when people talk about, oh, I'm going to go work out, I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm going to go drink water. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's the same thing. I'm going to go eat something today. Same thing. What is your standard on that? So whatever it is that you want to excel in or be quote unquote successful at, which is the progressive realization of a goal, I want to spend time with my family. I want to be a great family man, father. Okay. So consistently, what's your standard on that? right? Like how can you, like, how do you discern whether or not that's happening or not? Because when you figure out like, oh, that's below my standard, my being, immediately, I mean, and not to say that we won't have our off days, although Dorian Yates said he never had a bad workout. I'm like, I don't know about that. There's times when there's times when but whatever that means to you, like, okay, so how can I get back on the stand of this thing? What I guess what's great about him saying that is how much he appreciates himself. So sometimes we don't give ourselves the credit for what it is that we do. That to me sounds like a lot of work that was done where you're not ashamed of the output that you put in, right? Sometimes we're basing our lives on somebody else's standard or whatever it is, and we may be ashamed of what it is that we have going on. But you get a chance to figure out what your standard is, right? You don't have to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. You actually really, really don't. You can go 2 to 3 times. As a matter of fact, Dorian Yates, one of the most winningest bodybuilders of all time, will tell you you only need to be in the gym for 2 to 3 times a week. That's what he'll tell you. And this is one of the best. Something else I wrote down was clarity of your vision. Oftentimes we get off track because of the cloudiness. This is when going back to the bodybuilding, this is that rest and recovery period. So if I don't rest and recover, I'm going to be sloppy when it's time for me to get to work. I'm not going to be effective in what it is that I'm doing. How many of us, and I'm going to raise my hand, have gotten lack of sleep, but because it's my standard to go to the gym, I go to the gym and I make all kinds of mistakes. I'm looking like, did I even really work out? Would it have been better for me to rest and recover, right? And be clear of mind when I finally do get in there and have that workout? How many of us have had a great night's sleep and then got to work or whatever it was? And how much did you get done? So if you have that clarity and I put clarity and vision on the same path because, you need clarity of vision. It's how you see. Another thing that I wrote, and this is where this is my thing now. So it's not that I don't have challenges on a day-to-day basis. It's not that there's a feeling of impending doom based on some certain things that are going on. Is the joy factor for me. Like, are you enjoying what it is that you're building? Are you enjoying your time off? Are you getting anything? Because in Joe Hudson would say, the more joy you have, the more efficient and energy you may have towards that thing. So how much joy, how many times you do things that you don't want to do that doesn't bring joy to your life and you're doing it over and over again? Like, what does that make life like? What does it make the task that you're involved with doing? Can you find joy in things that you don't necessarily like? Like, where's the joy in that? Last week I spoke about doing the dishes and finding joy in that. That was an experiment that I got to do rather. So there was like experimentation in that. There's certain things, I don't like to make certain phone calls to certain people. What's interesting is that once I started finding the joy in it, I'll give you a quick, easy thing that you can try, getting curious about that person. I don't know, what's that about? Getting like what could come out of this? If I do make this phone call, even though I don't necessarily want to, what am I going to hear? You'd be surprised. Not every time. Sometimes that energy does suck away. And then that also says like, well, I might need to put boundaries around this person. So maybe even just figuring out like, oh, I need to put boundaries around this conversation. This conversation needs to end in 15 minutes. I need to go into the conversation more structured. Like, how can I make this conversation better for the other person that we're talking about? How can we work through an issue if there's an issue? How can I bring out, the hard things? One of the things that he also spoke about, I know I'm speaking on Joe Hudson a lot, but he has a lot of great ideals, was that he structures 3 hours a month for hard, crucial conversations. Think about that. Think about how much more anxiety you have about when you're going to have this conversation or whatever. But what if you put a time limit on certain conversations? Think about this stuff. A hard conversation. I don't want to have it. You push it off and you push it off until it grows until you have to have it. But if you put aside, I got 3 hours, we're going to have these hard conversations. Maybe it's an hour this week, 30 minutes, 45 minutes a week, or whatever it is. After this conversation, I'm just going to go recover. Maybe that's what you need. That's what most of us need around leg day. If I get back to the bodybuilding or the working out thing, like you go in there, you work out and you have a leg day, chances are the next day you're not going to really want to do much, right? So if you structure leg day around recovery period, oh, the next day I'm going to have this. You know how I structure leg day, which is not the funnest to me. Sometimes it is if I'm having a great leg day. I structure it around the day that I can have the most carbs. So now I'm like, oh man, after leg day, I can eat more because my glycogen is low and I got to recover. So I'm allowed to have, what some people may call a cheat meal. Not to say that I'm super strict, but I'm just saying, I know on that day, hey, I might could have ice cream later on tonight if that's what I want, or a piece of cake or whatever it is. So I structure it to where I'm excited about that period. We get a chance to cultivate these things within our lives. And if you come through it with also the mindset that the brother talks about all this being successful, the thought process now is like, how do I cultivate this success? Right? Like, how do I form these success habits, and not based upon what these are some awesome tips and you get to experiment, but like what Tony Robbins says, or people telling you to dive into the cold water, or people telling you to do like whatever it is, you get to structure it yourself. You get to experiment with these different things and say, hey, that actually makes me feel better. That actually makes me recover better. That actually makes this life just a little bit more joyful. This gives me more time. Like, you'd be surprised. Something else you mentioned, or I don't know if you mentioned it. I know I didn't write it down. I know someone asked me about this. They were saying, now that you have slowed things down and you're more present, what are some of the outcomes that you found that you didn't know that you would have? Someone asked me that yesterday. And I was like, what I found was that, like, I have more time. It just seems like I have more time. Like, life, the way life is like, there's just, there's more time for me to enjoy what I really enjoy. If I just want to sit back with my son, like, it's not even a question. I'm not fitting anything in. Like, especially when it comes to revolving them. Me and my father, he whooped my tail. And so I got to give him credit. We were playing checkers the other day. That man whooped me in like 1,000 games. Didn't even. he told
old school.
Yeah, he said I can't even give you a game. Like, but I have time for that, right? I'm not rushing it. And I put things in a place where they just like where they need to be. But it's funny enough, from this slowing down, the joy, the experiencing the things, a lot of things don't even feel like, like they would have work anymore. I'm not perfect by all means. There's times when I look at the phone or I'm looking at the computer and I'm just like, there's a certain something that comes up like wants me not to do it. Like this rebelliousness within myself where I'm just like, oh, I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to call this person back. I'm not going to send out. I mean, something simple as sending out a text message. I realize sometimes how I imagine over human history, how lazy we actually are right now. Like there's so much things that allow us to be so much more proficient, and like writing an email is crazy right now. Like writing an email for me is literally me talking into Chat GP or Claude and saying, I need to list all of this stuff, right? I need all these things within this email. I need, whether they're deadlines or whatever, like it's essentially dictating. And then, it writes it up in my voice. I get a chance to read it. And then it puts the draft in my email. Hey, when you're done, just click send on it. Can you imagine like how much more, what that it allows us for us to do? But then there's a portion of what kind of takes away from us. There's an emotional thing that happens, like whether it's rebellion, whether it's doing things that you don't like to do, whether it's exhaustion. You know, I don't know how many people have tried to do work when they're exhausted, how much longer and how many more mistakes you do when that happens. And not because you've been on a roof all day, but because you've just been emotionally running around, possibly putting out fires, possibly doing, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, or worrying, and it's, you know, so on and so forth. Having doubt. Doubt takes up a lot of emotional energy if you allow it. Right? That's why I want us to look at it like it's okay for us to have it. It's actually a feature of our being. There's nothing deficient about it. But we get a chance to tap into what Joel spoke about. I am a part of this powerful and perfect thing. I'm a part of this thing, and it's okay if I'm not perfect within it. It came up, I noticed it. I'm actually welcoming it oftentimes because it's the doubt is really, you know, your brain looking out for you sometimes, right? Like there's certain things that's just wanting you to be okay, wanting you to be safe. And you get a chance to take it in and say, okay, there you are again, friend. Is there any merit to this? Or is there any merit to this? Well, there is a lot of merit to it. However, in order for us to get to a newer place, we can't keep doing the same thing. So we get a chance to actually experience and try something new out. So I appreciate you checking in. There's oft times when you are needed, right? Like the doubt, like, hey, look both ways before you cross the street. That's good doubt. Right? We could just say, oh, it's, you know, you could say it. I'm not saying it's wrong or whether it's not wrong, but you could just walk across the street. You could. And say, I'm putting my life in the hands of, you know, sometimes we'll say certain things. Or we could say, this is warranted. And I appreciate that. Let me look to left, right, and left again. That's what we're taught, right? And then take these steps across the street if you have the ability to do that. But we've been given this as a feature. The thing is now when we're taking that feature and we're putting it towards something, when we have these these higher standards, we want to get to a different place, we get a chance to actually sit back and look at it and say, here it is. What serves us at this moment? There's nothing wrong with it. What serves us? Okay, in this moment, we get the discernment. We have the wisdom. It doesn't serve us. Okay. We want to get to this newer spot. Yeah, there's doubt. We've never been there before. We'll see what happens when we get there. Yeah, man, that's a...
I love your analogy on doubt. I definitely appreciate that, and I believe it's not a popular perspective on doubt. So I love that analogy. You know, it just brings new context to it. You know, it's not saying we should live in doubt, and if somebody wants to live in doubt, that's your prerogative. But it definitely brings a new context that I think is warranted because, like, you know, belief and doubt, if I could, I'd say it just like this, and I will. It's like heads and tails of the same coin. Doubt is belief. I don't care what anybody says, you know, argue with me till you're blue in the face, but doubt is belief. It is belief that whatever you believe in is not true or it's not working. That's belief. And so if a person wants to put more belief into that the chair will not hold them up, then the chair will hold them up. That's on you. Don't sit down. Stay standing. That's fine with me. I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna sit in it. You know what I mean? And so I love that context because, you know, it gives us clues on how we're living our life. And it definitely helps us to understand who the individual is that's behind the eyeballs that are looking through the mirror, right? So I love that. I ain't got any more for today. I just wanted to comment on that one little piece right there that somebody needs to write that down out there, you know, just take it into consideration.
Yeah, that's it, man. I think this is time well spent. There's a lot that happens within this hour. There is absolutely a lot that happens within this hour. So I'm glad that you and I get a chance to kind of kick it and each and every week and kind of just explore this thing, this beautiful thing that we're in right now. Like just exploring it. This is people. We're smiling. This is not to say that life is not lifing, as some people would say. Like life is lifing, but when you get a chance to actually get it out and explore it and just get a little, just get sharpened on these different things and be allowed to say it, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. So I'm glad that the brothers here with me. I'm glad that those of you who check in from time to time, viewing our stuff and comment to me later on, even though you don't like it, that's fine. That's fine as well. But we're going to keep living this life. We're going to keep doing what we do. I think for us at this point in time, it's like in a certain kind of purpose, right? This purpose, this love, this joy, this being, and I'm enjoying it, brother, man. I did put a couple of those books in the chat if you all saw it. The audio that I listened to is like 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not sure. It's called The Strangest Secret. Earl Nightingale, go check that out. The brother brought up Think and Grow Rich. That's Napoleon Hill. That entire period is a very interesting period. If you go back and listen to it, I know a lot of things are coming out about Napoleon Hill. I don't care. There's a lot of wisdom and things that you can actually bring to your life. I think I heard someone say, trust but verify, right? So, you get a chance to trust and verify and see what works for you within that. And hopefully it'll aid you on your journey to success. Other than that, man, we appreciate you. We love you. Any questions, definitely DM myself or the brother. We'll put this up. Community Beacon does have a YouTube page. I've been uploading the videos. So go check out the videos. I think after a certain amount of videos, we are able to go live on it. I haven't done the in-depth research on it, but go to that. Go subscribe to the Community Beacon the page, and also the Instagram that we both have. Brother, tell them where they can find you and your information.
jsimmons.tenacity and also the Opportunity Lab US. Check us out on IG there. All right.
All right.
Looking forward to connecting with some more people. Enjoying it. Appreciate you, bro.
All right. Love you, brother. Peace.
Love you, man.